Some chains are forged in iron, while others are stitched in leather. But the greatest kind of chains are the ones that we entangle ourselves in by ourselves. This was the situation of Toby. Toby used to be a very good guy. I mean, he came from a very good home. He was the son of a praying mother. But all that changed immediately he got into school, and he found himself in company of bad friends. At first, he was the one that used to follow bad friends. Later on, he became the one that led bad friends. And you know what they say about when you start doing evil? Evil sometimes, when you do it for the first time, your conscience screams. You do it the second time, your conscience whispers. But when you continue repeating evil, your conscience finds a way to remain silent. And at this point, Toby's conscience was silent. One day after school, and him and his friends, they were walking on a lonely path, and they had no intentions of doing anything bad. But evil minds find a way of doing evil things. Him and his friends were walking on this lonely path, and they sighted a lady walking with a bag. And then one of them said, "Let's take something from her." And then that was how it started. They were like, "Give us your bag." One of them pulled out a gun, the other pulled out a knife, and then Toby, the leader, told her, "Give me your bag." She refused. He stretched his hand and tried to drag it from her, and she was like, "Please, my medicine is inside." But Toby didn't even hear all that. He kept on dragging the bag. She held it with her life, and then Toby hit her on her chest, and she fell and left the bag lying down there. And then Toby and his friends took the bag and ran away. They got into an uncompleted building, and then they opened the bag thinking they would find the fortune. They opened the bag, and to their surprise, what they saw was hospital papers, torchlight, and an inhaler. And then they saw also about just little more, around 2K, 2,000. So they shared the money within themselves, very little money, and then threw away the inhaler. So once they threw away the inhaler, Toby said, "I like this bag, I want this bag." And this bag was nothing special in this bag, but he said he wanted the bag. Little did he know that the least expensive thing he stole that day would become the most expensive thing that would take the most expensive things out of his life. Meanwhile, a few miles back, the lady they had hit or stolen from, she was lying down there, almost breathless. Life was leaving her. She was just coming from the hospital where she had an asthma attack, and then she got medications and was heading back home feeling very sick. And now they took her medication from her while hitting her on her chest. And while she lay down there, she was feeling very down and had an asthma attack again. She didn't have an inhaler with her, and she struggled to breathe. Every second she labored in breath. She tried to breathe, but she couldn't, and she felt life leaving her. And then, in the moment of a near-death experience, she said, "If I die, all I want is judgment." But fortunately for her, some passerby came and saw her, and they rushed her to the hospital. And once they were at the hospital, they started, trying to treat her in the emergency ward. But something happened. They discovered that as they were trying to treat her, she was no longer breathing. Life had left her. They struggled to get her back. They tried. Later on, the doctor's report will show that she was dead for approximately 3 minutes. 3 minutes of having no life. Eventually, she was brought back to life. But now, remember, she has spoken a word. You know how they say something and let the angels carry it. This time around, she had said something. She asked for judgment if she died, and she did eventually die, howbeit for 3 minutes. And then a spirit had heard what she said and carried those words. Not eventually, but there was no escaping from it. few years later, Toby had graduated from school. He was no longer the bad boy he used to be. He was a changed man. He got a very good job at a multinational company. The starting salary was 2 million naira and with bonus of 500k. So it was 2.5 million every month, and he was good. He felt like he had arrived. Meanwhile, the job came with an official car and an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment. So life was good for him. So his first salary came. It was not up to a week. It finished. He was like, his first salary syndrome or whatever. It's okay. Second month, third month, same thing. Fourth month, same thing. 1 year, the same thing. I was like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? He tried to say, okay, no, this cannot be happening to me. How can I work for a year and I don't have any single savings and I'm earning this much? He couldn't believe it. 2 years later, his salary moved from 2.5 to 3 million with a 500k bonus. So it was earning 3.5 million. There was nothing to show for it. There will always be one situation. Maybe a family member was sick, a relative needed something, he had his own situation. There was always something that was taking his money. And then he sat back one day in his office and was like, wait a minute. He was with his calculator, calculating the amount that entered every month and amount that was left in his account. He was like, where is my money? That was the question he could not answer. He was like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. For the next 3 months, I'm not going to touch my salary. It's only my bonus I'm going to touch it. And he kept true to his words. He didn't go for any outings. He didn't give anyone any money. He kept to himself. For a few months, it worked. He was not spending any money. He was seeing his account balance grow. And then suddenly, he had a court case. And then he started spending money on the court case, paying lawyers and whatnot. And before you know it, the money he had saved for months, he couldn't find it in less than a month. He was back to square one. And as if things were not bad enough, the company downsized and he was among the first that was laid off. He packed his bags and left. They took the salary, they took the car, they took the apartment, and he was back to square one. He was like, he's going to get a good job. Of course, he has certifications. 1 year passed, no job. 2 years passed, no job. By this time, he started doing menial jobs. Anything to have money to himself to be able to feed. From someone that was living in a 3-bedroom apartment, he found himself in one tiny room, unable to even pay the rent. He was sad, he was devastated, and he knew that something was wrong. And then he prayed to God and he was like, what's happening? What's happening? The prayer he said was, I need understanding. Help me understand what's going on. Help me. And so the next day after the prayer, he woke up and he was searching through his things. And then he saw the bag, that same bag from years back. He saw it in his belongings. He had moved from one state to another. He had moved from one apartment to another apartment to another apartment. Still yet, this bag kept moving with him. He had not found any reason to discard the bag. For no good reason, he found an attachment to this bag. He loved the bag. There was nothing fancy about this bag, but he just loved the bag. And he kept asking himself, why am I unable to let this bag go? Why? And so Toby knew that he needed to find answers because what was happening to him was getting too much. For several years, he had been struggling and there was nothing to write him about it. When he was making money, he wasn't seeing any money. And now that he's not even making money, things are gone to the bottom of bottoms. He started looking for answers. He needed to find the solution to what was wrong with him. And then wherever there were answers, he went with this question, where is my money? He went to different spiritual homes, from one spiritual home to another, looking for answers. Some told him it was his village people. Some told him it was your this, your that. But none of them were true. All of them were just lies. And then he didn't know what to do. He said a prayer again. Father, please, help me. Help me. I need understanding. I need to know what's wrong with me. At this point, he was every emotion he can think of. That was him. And then it was a Sunday. He wanted to go to church, but he felt very down. very sad, and he said he was not going to go to church. But something kept urging him, kept pushing him, kept pressing him to go to church. Then he stood up and he went. And when he was in church there, the preacher said something that hit him. The preacher said, some of you are asking God for open doors, for new doors, whereas you are still holding baggages from yesterday. Baggage, bag. That word hit him. He raised his head and he couldn't place it, but he knew something was wrong somewhere. He went home that day and he went back to the bag, which was his baggage, and he opened it and he looked at it. He was not seeing the bag, he was seeing the woman. He was not seeing the bag, he was seeing the lonely path. He was not seeing the bag, he was seeing her inhaler. He was not seeing the bag, he saw a woman that begged for breath, probably her last breath. He was broken. He now knew that he did something wrong. He had dismissed it all these years without reflecting or thinking about it. But now, he knew in his heart of hearts that this was the genesis of his problem. And now, he was broken. He started calling people to ask them, especially those his friends, to ask them, what did they know anything about the lady? None of them knew. None of them had an idea. They didn't know if she survived or not. And now, he was broken. And he cried. Not only did he cry, he prayed. And he says, Father, I am sorry. Have mercy on me. Have mercy. All he kept praying was for mercy. He said, I surrender. I surrender. I ask for mercy. He kept praying that until he slept off. The following day, Toby woke up with a conviction that he needed to discard this bag. But this time around, he knew he needed to discard it in a proper way, not just throw it away. Now, this bag came in through violence, and he knew that this bag needed to live through mercy. He took the bag, looked for money with him. The only money he had was around 850. He didn't know what to do. That was the only money left that I wanted to use to eat. He took the money and put it in the bag and walked out of his house. He started walking. He didn't know where he was going to, but he knew something was leading him somewhere. He kept walking. He found himself in the market, and then later on, here he was. He saw a man, an old beggar, and he knew in his heart of hearts that he was to give this man the bag. He walked to the beggar, gave the beggar the bag, and turned back and left. The beggar was smiling, and the beggar said, Thank you, my son. God bless you. Toby turned back, and he said, No, God have mercy on me. And he walked away. There was no thunder, no lightning, nothing changed, but in the spirit, something had moved. Toby continued with his life, and within a few months, he got a job, not a fantastic job, just an okay job. But this time around, he was seeing his money. Whatever money came in, he was seeing it. He was accountable to every penny. Whatever penny he spent, he knew where it came from and where it entered. Whatever penny came, wherever he invested it in or put it in, he knew that this is where he put it in. And now he knew exactly everything that was happening to him. He now knew the answer to this question, where is my money? He knew exactly where his money was. And that was how he continued to push forward. A few years down the line, someone would ask him, how did you go from struggling that much to becoming this much? And he would answer and say, I stopped carrying the bag that carried yesterday. Some of us are still carrying bags from yesterday. Some of those bags represent guilt, bitterness, pride, unforgiveness, jealousy, and whatnot. We keep asking God for a better today, tomorrow, whereas still holding back to the things that entangle us from the past. You cannot pour new wine in an old wineskin. You need to pour new wine in a new wineskin. What this means is you need to let go of the bags that are still holding you captive and then forge further with a new and better life. You need to stop letting those things that held you back in the past, some of those things that are still holding you down now, you let them go and surrender it all at the Master's feet. That is the only way forward. Now ask yourself, what bag from yesterday am I still carrying today? Think about it. Think.